Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Newport News School Board for Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. On behalf of the members of the school board and Dr. Mitchell, I welcome each of you present this evening and those who are watching on TV and online. A quorum is present to transact the business of the school division. We will begin tonight's meeting with the invocation and pledge to the flag. Here to do the honors are two students from Menchville High School, Quincy Cordell and Nadia DeBrouse, I believe. So first we'll have Quincy come forward and deliver the invocation, and he will be followed by Nadia, who will come forward and deliver the pledge. Quincy, if you would come and tell us a little bit about yourself before you get started.
Hi, how everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm loud. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. Hi, my name is Quincy Cordell. I'm a 12th grade student at Menchville High School. And today I'm just glad to be here. I got a quote from Nelson Mandela. He says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." And that's what I'm here to do today.
Thank you, Quincy. And Nadia, would you please come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself and then lead us in the pledge?
I'm Nadia DeBrouse. I'm in 12th grade at Menchville High School. And yeah. Can everybody please stand for the pledge?
Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So thank you both, Quincy and Nadia, for participating in tonight's meeting. Do you have any family members or school members who are with you to support you this evening? Hi, Mom. Hi. And another mom? Thank you so much for making sure that they were with us tonight. Oh, and the principals. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next item on our agenda are school board recognition. So Dr. Mitchell, I think you and I are going to go to the podium.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of presenting this month's honorees. Newport News Public Schools Apprenticeship Program is a structured professional development and state certification program that combines hands-on career training and practical classroom learning. The program is designed to develop highly skilled employees. During the multi-year process, apprentices gain a deeper understanding of their department's operations and how their work fits into the school division's strategic plan and supports our students. The program is the only one in Virginia administered by a school division through the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry's Apprenticeship Office. The customized courses enhance the apprentices' skills and talents. The school division has 4 such programs in 4 areas: child nutrition services, custodial services, transportation, and clerical support. Tonight, we're recognizing our 3rd graduating class of the Transportation Apprenticeship Program. Our graduates will receive a certificate of completion of apprenticeship from the State Council. These dedicated employees successfully completed a rigorous sequence of program requirements. We're so very proud of their accomplishments. Please join me in congratulating them. Jean Amusugan, Master Bus Driver. Mr. Amusugan. that's Master Bus Driver 2. I stand corrected. Cecily Andrews, Master Bus Assistant 2. Tamika Gatling, Master Bus Driver 2. Catherine Grimes, Master Bus Driver 2. Jesse Jimenez Carrillo, Master Bus Driver 2. Our next honoree, I'm not sure she was able to join us, Kimberly McEachin. Okay, we congratulate her as well, Master Bus Driver 2. And Sharonda Simpson, Master Bus Driver 2. And also unable to join us this evening is Terry Taylor, Master Bus Driver 2. Congratulate her as well. And finishing out this class of apprentices is Lisa Walton, Master Bus Driver 2. The transportation apprentices completed nearly 300 hours of classroom instruction in customer service, effective communications, English, math, Spanish, workplace technology, and leadership skills. In addition to 4,000 hours of on-the-job training in bus routing and dispatch training, and coursework that makes them eligible to take the test for the National Association for Pupil Transportation Certification as a Supervisor of Transportation. Again, please join me in another round of applause for our Transportation Apprenticeship Program graduates. It was a lot of hard work, and this gentleman and lady started before COVID. So they started this process in 2019, got interrupted, and completed this year. So thank you for hanging in there. We know it was a lot of hard work. And we do want to take a picture, but before we do that, I'd like to take an opportunity to acknowledge some of their supporters, because we know that they made a lot of sacrifices to complete this. So we want to ask if their family and friends join them tonight, if you would please stand to be recognized. The family and friends of our graduates here. Thank you. We have to congratulate you too. And I'd also like to acknowledge the transportation team members here this evening to celebrate this graduation. Shay Coates, our Executive Director of Transportation. Sharon Moore, our Transportation Operations Supervisor. Francis Smith, Acting Transportation or Area Supervisor. And Ellen Charles, our Area Transportation Supervisor as well. Thank you so very much. And before you sit down, we'd like to take a picture. So if you come to the front of the podium.
I'm gonna get Shay Coates. No. Yeah.
one more recognition for this evening. Training and development are top priorities for the Newport News School Board. As part of its collective effort to maintain effective leadership, the board has participated in numerous development programs, conferences, and workshops through the Virginia School Boards Association. This evening, our school board members are receiving their own awards for their dedication to advancing their expertise from the Virginia School Boards Association. The VSBA Academy provides training in effective leadership and governance to school board members and support staff. Each year, the VSBA recognizes board members for their dedication to improving their skills through conferences on leadership, school laws, strategic planning, and legislative issues. Each of the persons being recognized this evening has received a certificate of recognition from the VSBA. These awards honor their participation in the Academy's programs for the past 2 years. School Board Chairman Lisa Searles Law and School Board Member Douglas Brown earned the Award of Distinction. Vice Chair Dr. Terry Best earned an Award of Honor. Board Member Rebecca Amon earned the Award of Achievement, and Board Member Gary Hunter and School Board Clerk Tiffany Moore Buffalo earned awards of recognition. Our Award of Distinction honorees, Ms. Searles Law and Mr. Brown, will be recognized during a special session during the Virginia School Boards Association Annual Convention. Each of these dedicated public servants have received award certificates and distinctive lapel pins to symbolize their commitment to effective school board governance and participation in the Academy. Board members, on behalf of the students, staff, and citizens of Newport News, thank you for your dedication and leadership of this school division, and congratulations on your awards. At this time, we'll take about a 6-minute break so that our honorees and their families may leave. If you choose to do so, you're welcome to stay the rest of the board meeting, During this time, our viewing audience will have the opportunity to view this month's School Board Spotlight. So we'll stand in recess for about 6 minutes. Thank you.
For 3 weeks this past summer, students explored career possibilities through STEM while solving real-world problems using creative and cutting-edge solutions. Hosted at Hines Middle School, rising 3rd through 12th grade students participated in summer enrichment STEAM camps, adding an artistic twist to complete engaging and challenging STEM activities. Over 400 students were enrolled, and each grade used specific tools, technologies, and grade-appropriate concepts while exploring computer science and emerging technologies. Lego Robotics, Ozobots, Edison Programmable Robots, Unruly Splats, and flying drones were just a few of the technologies students used to tackle real-world challenges, while sparking creativity, encouraging teamwork, and equipping students with the knowledge and skills to succeed in a highly technological world. Each project also incorporated an artistic touch, allowing students to add color, design, and creativity to their final works. Throughout the weekly activities, guest speakers, classroom visitors, and excursions to community partners expanded students' learning experiences and broadened their understanding of career options. Enrichment STEAM camps created the perfect learning environment to inspire creativity and develop critical thinking skills for hundreds of students this summer.
During the summer, high school students gained valuable career readiness skills by working in Newport News Public Schools. Normally, students gain job experience by finding internships outside the schools. But through the Career and Technical Education Program, qualifying high school students became Career Pathways interns right here in Newport News Public Schools. This past summer, 29 interns completed a paid internship while working in 7 different departments. For 4 to 8 weeks, Interns worked with Child Nutrition Services, Driver Education, English, Library Media Services, STEM, Summer Institute for the Arts, or Technology Support Services, logging 60 to 100 paid hours. This allowed high school students to gain real-world job experience in a career field that interests them, while also earning employment skills, building confidence, and shaping their future career goals. For the 5th year, educators in Newport News Public Schools were invited to explore the latest trends, technologies, and strategies in education to enhance student learning in their own classrooms. Over 1,000 NNPS employees attended the Innovate Conference at Woodside High School in early August. Organized by the Employee Expertise Department and Instructional Technology team, educators had over 230 engaging sessions to choose from and attend either in person or virtually. In each session, teachers, administrators, instructional technology coaches, and business partners led lively discussions and offered professional insights on a range of educational topics, including innovative strategies, effective technology integration, student engagement, and creating inclusive learning environments. By attending or presenting a session, teachers received valuable points towards their teaching license renewal. Between sessions, attendees had the opportunity to explore firsthand the many cutting-edge technologies found in classrooms across Newport News. Through the sharing of skills and strategies at Innovate Conference, educators were able to unlock their potential and drive positive change in Newport News Public Schools. For the 34th year, Summer Institute for the Arts offered students an intensive program in dance, drama, music, and visual arts. Hosted at Woodside High School, 85 rising 8th through 12th grade students were accepted into the Summer Arts program to participate in 2 overlapping sessions. Students in the Performing Arts session, including dance, drama, and music, spent over 2 weeks sharpening their musical and performance skills. On the last day of their session, families were invited to enjoy a performing arts showcase, where each talented group of students put their artistic skills on display. By successfully completing this summer course, performing arts students received a half credit towards their graduation requirements. Meanwhile, visual arts students spent 5 weeks creating an impressive portfolio, utilizing a range of media and techniques. A rotating team of talented educators challenged students to stretch their abilities while introducing them to new methods and tools. As their session came to a close, families enjoyed a final art gallery to tour the impressive collection of student masterpieces. By successfully completing their summer arts experience, visual arts students earned a full high school credit. For over 3 decades, Summer Institute for the Arts has continued to inspire enthusiasm and dedication in the lives of young artists. For the 9th summer, Books on Bikes Newport News kept students engaged in reading all summer long. Every week, teacher volunteers from Greenwood, McIntosh, Stony Run, and Yates Elementary Schools delivered brand new books to students and families across Newport News. Throughout several neighborhoods, teachers could be spotted on their iconic tricycles, hauling huge containers of books, free for any kid, no matter what school they attend. They also offered bookmarks, sweet treats, and tasty snacks during every outing. Phone calls and social media kindly reminded families where and when Books on Bikes would be stopping in their neighborhoods. And when weather didn't cooperate, educators simply adapted by trading in 3-wheels for their 4-wheeled vehicles to ensure books made it into eager hands to read. Often principals would join in on the fun, keeping families informed and welcoming new students to their school. Students were overjoyed to see their teachers throughout the summer, sharing stories of their summer adventures. Thanks to Books on Bikes Newport News, hundreds of families received new books throughout the summer to keep students engaged in academic growth before the start of a new school year. A superior band performance doesn't come together overnight. During the waning summer weeks, students spent hours learning music, practicing marching techniques, and repeating formation movements to prepare for a competitive marching season. At 5 Newport News high schools, summer band camps allowed talented band directors and their staff to bring together student musicians with artistic auxiliary units and dance teams to create a harmonious performance. By participating in marching band, students gain important life skills beyond the obvious musical talents, such as discipline, responsibility, teamwork, and confidence. Upperclassmen, including drum majors and section leaders, grow in their leadership skills, guiding younger students through their years of experience. And the act of marching, sometimes with oversized instruments, is a huge physical benefit for students through increased muscle strength, improved cardiovascular health, and enhanced endurance. During halftime performances at football games, community parades, and visits to other schools, hundreds of marching band students in Newport News Public Schools will entertain thousands this season through the power of music.
See how good you are.
I hope you enjoyed this month's School Board Spotlight. During our regular meetings, we provide time for the public to address the school board. These opportunities are scheduled in the early part of our agenda and also towards the end of the meeting. As advertised, citizens may submit comments via email up to 30 minutes prior to our meeting time to be included in the official meeting record. For those of you joining us in person, the board considers this an opportunity to listen to your comments. Please understand that we will consider your concerns. We ask that you comply with our 3-minute time limit. As you begin your comments, a green light will come on, a yellow light signals that you have 30 seconds remaining, and a red light and beep indicates your time is up. We have an abundance of speaker cards this evening, so please pay attention to the guidelines. As your name is called, please come forward. I'm actually going to call you in groups of 3. That way you'll know that you're in the queue and to come up next. And then I'll call you one more time to come to the mic. First person is William Hubbardow, Gabrielle Bivens, and Christine Parker Colon.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for providing this opportunity. My name is Will Huberto, and some call me Mr. H. I'm a teacher at Warwick High School. Spirituality is not very important to me, and I decided this in church. I remember sitting in the pews, and my minister said, if this isn't true for you in your heart, then it doesn't count. And it wasn't, so it didn't, and after that I was out. My integrity is very important to me, and I wasn't going to pretend that I believed. But something very close to spirituality happened to me in college. I got the calling to teach. After that brief moment while I was binge watching episodes of Lost, depressed, and then suddenly rejuvenated, my identity changed. I was a teacher. That's my experience, though. Some people have different experiences, and that's a good thing. Some people's experiences are terrifying, while others are put on pedestals. We need to protect our children from hate, prejudice, and bigotry. There are very few moments in the school day where a student might not be able to say a quiet prayer to themselves. But most waking moments out as a student of the LGBTQ community gives no such respite. It is they we need to protect, not ostracize and expose. If we let God into the schools, is that who we're really letting in? You might get the message I got from my minister, which I don't think most people want. Or you might even get something unsafe, something harmful. When we allow God into our schools, we can't fool ourselves about who we're really letting in. Keep the constitutional standard mandating the separation of church and state. Protect our children by allowing them all to be who they are. And please reject the governor's guidance on gender identification. Thank you.
Gabrielle Bivens.
Hello. My name is Gabby. My pronouns are they, them. I'm 16 years old and an 11th grader. I am a member of the youth group at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Peninsula. I am homeschooled. You may wonder why someone who is homeschooled cares about what is going on in public schools. Due to my own learning style and neurodiversity, it would be challenging for me to attend a public school. If you add new rules that would keep me from being who I am, that would make things even harder. Not all people have the flexibility to choose homeschooling. I've been lucky. Do you really want to make things harder for trans students like me that are going to public school? People have been changing their names for centuries, using nicknames or other chosen names. It does not make sense to limit this now. We are very concerned that school counselors and teachers would be required to share with parents information students have given in confidence. It is the job of parents to help their kids feel safe and supported. If parents want to know what is happening in their children's lives, it is up to the parents to create an environment at home where the kids feel safe sharing with them. Many parents, of course, work hard to do this. However, sometimes this isn't the case, and it takes a great deal of courage for a student to speak up to another adult. If that school staff member is required to share with a parent or anyone else information such as a student questioning their gender identity, it could be very dangerous. It could lead to that student being shamed, punished, abused, or even pushed to suicide. The school board should not gamble that every student's family will be kind and supportive. According to the Trevor Project, queer students are at a higher risk of suicide, not because they are inherently broken, but because of being mistreated and stigmatized by family and peers. School should be a safe place for students to explore and learn about a variety of people and perspectives in order to be able to get along in a society, which, of course, includes all of us. Public schools are here to serve the public. Every student has the right to feel physically and mentally secure at school. This allows them to focus on education and not be distracted by people bullying or socially ostracizing those who may be different. Thank you for your consideration. We are looking forward to a vote that promotes respect for all students.
Christine Parker Colon.
Good evening. My name is Christine Parker Colon, and I'm actually a general education teacher for Newport News Public Schools. I'm speaking on behalf of the NNEA as an executive board member. This is a statement by NNEA President Dr. James Graves in response to Governor Youngkin's attacks on LGBTQ plus students and minority educators. Unfortunately, Governor Youngkin's administration has released intolerant guidance for Virginia's public schools that attempts to remove the important protections for LGBTQ plus students that were implemented under prior Governor Northam. The NNEA opposes Youngkin's bigoted attacks on LGBTQ plus students and reminds school leaders that guidance is optional. LGBTQ students are a vulnerable population who deserve to be protected by adults in power instead of bullied and harassed for political points. Dr. James Fetterman, president of the Virginia Education Association, released a statement pointing out that Virginia school boards can choose to ignore Youngkin's administration's guidance. All school boards and superintendents should remember that no schools are required to implement this administration-crafted policy and should think twice before considering this politically divisive debate and exposing themselves to extensive legal liability. If implemented, these policies would no doubt threaten the safety and well-being of LGBTQ students, open a door for bullying, and set back their recent civil rights gains in Virginia. This policy targets a student group already facing significant barriers, and it offers no measurable benefit and is simply cruel. These students deserve the freedom to express their authentic selves free of harassment. In addition, the Youngkin administration previously announced that it would block grants to help provisionally licensed teachers of color in Virginia receive their full teaching licenses, despite funding that was already passed by state legislature. The grants, which totaled $50,000 per year, had helped minority provisional teachers achieve full licensure by subsidizing tutoring and test fees for the exams that are required for full teacher licensure in Virginia. Many teachers do not achieve full licensure because of barriers like cost and time. The NNEA condemns these shameless attacks on Virginia's public schools. Our educators union will continue to stand up for students, staff, and teachers in Newport News and across Virginia. Thank you so much for your time.
The next three are Connor Collins, Michelle Nordine, and Mary Voss.
Hello, good evening, Chairman Charles Law, the board, Dr. Mitchell. My name is Connor Collins. I'm an educator and citizen of Newport News, and I'm mainly here to talk about the Governor Youngkin's model policy from a viewpoint of an educator. As an educator, we want to meet our students' Maslow hierarchies of needs before we can meet their educational needs. If students do not feel they are safe in the school building or in the classroom, then they're not going to learn the curriculum that we are required to teach them. We will see school scores go down, which will result in a lack of accreditation, which will then result in funding issues. Governor Youngkin's policy is a threat to one of our most vulnerable populations. Students that are LGBTQ+ are at a higher risk of suicide and self-harm due to a system that is against them, not due to themselves. We in the United States believe in a separation of church and state. Those who are arguing for this policy are trying to impose their religious beliefs on the public. Virginia is the birthplace of the separation of church and state. So we should live up to that historical record and maintain that separation, not only for the symbolism, but also for the protection of our students. And so I implore the board to please not adopt these policies. They are not a law, and not to be bullied by a governor who threatens to withhold funds from a school board because they don't approve of his model policies. Thank you for your time.
Michelle Nordine.
Good evening, Chairman Searles Law, Dr. Mitchell, and school board members. For those of you who haven't heard me speak before, my name is Michelle Nordine, and I am the Newport News Council of PTA's president. I would like to give everyone an update on the state of our PTAs in our school district. This year, Council is focusing on increasing our PTA membership. In order to do that, Council is hosting membership challenges for our schools and PTAs. Our first challenge was held in September and was called Put the T in PTA. This challenge was aimed at our teachers and administrators and challenged them to be the first school at the elementary, middle, and high school level to obtain 100% teacher and administrator membership in PTA by September 30th. A traveling trophy will be awarded in the coming weeks to the winning schools. The competition at the elementary school level was fierce, but Richard T. Yates Elementary pulled out the win. At the middle school level, Ethel M. Gildersleeve was the winner. We have at the end of September, we had a total of 7 schools with 100% teacher and administrator membership. Those schools were Yates Elementary, Gildersleeve, Sanford, Huntington Middle School, Hilton, BC Charles, and General Stanford. If your school isn't on the list, they have until December 31st to complete a similar challenge run by Virginia PTA. Council's second membership challenge is called Membership and is running through February 29th, 2023. The PTA at each level with the most PTA members with a minimum of 200 members will receive a monetary award from Council at our March General Membership meeting. As of this morning, we have 2,345 PTA members in the school district. This is an increase of over 1,000 PTA members since my PTA update in September's meeting. Oh, We would love to have at least 200 PTA members at each school. If anyone in Newport News would like to support a PTA and its mission, you can find a link to join a PTA on Newport News Council PTA's Facebook page. We have a link to every school that you can join online. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mary Voss.
Hello, Mary Voss, NNPS graduate, teacher, and parent. Decisions involving vulnerable populations, such as trans and other LGBTQ plus students, should be data-driven. Therefore, I'd like to share some statistics from the Trevor Project, a nonprofit focused on suicide prevention among LGBTQ plus youth. In 2022, they surveyed nearly 34,000 of these youth with questions about their mental health. 45% of these youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. Nearly 1 in 5 transgender and non-binary youth have attempted suicide. 36% of LGBTQ youth reported that they have been physically threatened or harmed due to either their sexual orientation or their gender identity. 73% of LGBTQ youth reported that they have experienced discrimination based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. Fewer than 1 in 3 transgender and non-binary youth found their home to be gender affirming. Transgender and non-binary youth who attempted suicide in the past year were likely to have home and school environments that were not gender affirming. On a more hopeful note, LGBTQ youth who found their school to be affirming reported lower rates of attempted suicide. Tolerant school policies that respect and affirm these children for who they are could literally save their lives. These important protections must not be rolled back. This is a civil rights issue. Marginalizing these students by ignoring their pronouns, by cruelly outing them to unsupportive family, and by participating in Youngkin's cruel political attacks against them could literally push them to self-harm. This is a taxpayer-funded school system that serves many non-Christian families and that also serves many Christian families who support equality. This is our school system too. And thank you to all the pro-equality churches in attendance tonight. Governor Youngkin's model policy is not legally binding, and a number of districts in Northern Virginia and Richmond are simply ignoring it. NNPS could easily do the same thing and allow the policy that was voted on 2 years ago after extensive community input to stand. Looking at Youngkin's attacks on trans kids in context, this is clearly just one part of a broader effort to undermine and defund public education. Since being elected, Youngkin has made headlines for his teacher snitch line, inviting people to tattle on educators who teach diversity and social emotional learning. Youngkin's administration attempted to whitewash Virginia's K-12 history standards by removing references to Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, slavery, Juneteenth, and more. Youngkin's administration shortchanged schools by $201 million because of an accounting error. Youngkin has attacked AP African American history classes in the state. And of course, Youngkin's ultimate goal is to defund public schools and move our taxpayer dollars into lab schools, another name for charter schools. So he's not trying to improve our public schools with these demands. He's trying to undermine and defund them. You can say no. Thank you for your time.
The next 3 on our list are Autumn Cuevas, Elizabeth Peterson Rose, and Caitlin O'Brien. So, Autumn Cuevas.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Autumn Cuevas. I'm a history teacher at Heritage High School. I am the Pride Club sponsor at Heritage High School, and I'm also our inclusion coordinator. Let me first start off by saying that most teachers want to work with parents. We would rather work with them because 9 times out of 10, it's better for the kids when we can have that consistency across the board. However, we also need to remember that children are not possessions. Adolescents are not possessions. They are their own people with their own thoughts, their own dreams, their own perspectives on the world. Do they need guidance? Yes, and that's our job. It's not our job to impress our opinion over theirs, because when we do that, we are denying them the same rights that we demand for ourselves as adults. Some of the people here tonight are saying that they want to protect kids. They're wearing stickers that say it. I would love to know which kids they're talking about. because it can't be the 84% of LGBTQ youth that are bullied every day simply for being who they are. It can't be the students who are more likely to contemplate suicide simply because of who they are, how they feel, what they are. It can't be the 14% who actually attempt suicide again, for something that is intrinsically part of them. It can't be the students I walked to the counselor's office last year because the bullying had gotten so bad that I had no other resources that I could offer as a teacher. That happened 3 or 4 times last year, and it's already happened another time this year. If we're going to say that we're here to protect all kids, then we need to protect all kids, which means contrary to what some would have and likely will say, we should not be making these decisions based on religion. Newport News is comprised of a myriad of different people, and we shouldn't make decisions based on one group. For instance, I, as a pagan, could have come tonight quoting Odin and the Havamal, but I recognize that my religion dictates my worldview and my behavior, and no one else's. Decisions made based on one religious view place that view by default above others, like me, who don't fit it. And we shouldn't have to, because we live in a country where there is a separation of church and state. And I will continue to honor the kids that I work with by recognizing them for who they are, especially during Stand Week, when we are supposed to be celebrating and acknowledging anti-bullying measures. Thank you.
Elizabeth Peterson Rose.
Hello, good evening, thank you. I've lived in Newport News for the last 6 years. I've got a 5-year-old, and I'm just here to ask that you guys uphold the protections you guys passed under Governor Northam. I'm just going to echo basically everything everyone before me has said. I also just think it's outside of the scope of public education to out children to their families. So I trust you guys to do the right things. Mr. Hunter, Mr. Roslaw, Dr. Best, last time you guys all made the right choice. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ms. Aldra, I trust you to do the right thing. Thank you.
Caitlin O'Brien.
Hello. I am here today to speak in opposition to adoption of Governor Youngkin's 2023 model policy regarding trans and gender nonconforming students. I have heard it said by the policy's proponents that parents must be informed of their children's expressing gender nonconformity. But I know from my own personal traumatic experiences of my childhood where this may lead. I still remember the screaming of my older siblings as I was thrashed with a belt at the age of 6 because of feminine expression, which destroyed my trust in adults regarding this inherent part of myself. If you can't realize, being transgender was not something that could be beaten out of me, but that experience at 6 years old was not the end of my trauma related to having a sense of no one whom I could speak to about it. When I was 13, I bought clothing at a local store. I was seen by an older person involved in my scout troop, who then intimidated me with the threat of being outed on a camping trip, used it to silence me, and molested me. I did not feel that I could safely discuss feelings about my gender with any adults, and that was used to victimize me further. Parents are human. They can make mistakes. They can be abusive, whether through ignorance or malice. People like me face a high rate of abuse from unsupportive parents growing up. My experience demonstrates the importance that if young people cannot speak to parents, they should have an adult whom they can safely talk to, like a guidance counselor or teacher, which this policy would deny them the safety of. Many people, frankly, do not care about the safety of trans or gender nonconforming children who they constantly imply, as children, will use feminine expression to prey on girls. It is not in keeping with statistics. Yet transgender children are preyed upon all the time by an adult population which not only lacks understanding of them, but constantly spreads fear and hatred through regular vilification in the media. Not everyone who says, "I've done my research," quote unquote, as a subject matter expert when contradicting wide consensuses from psychologists, sociologists, neurobiologists, endocrinologists, and pediatricians regarding ethical and safe policy in relation to transgender people in this country. And no one outside of any association with our community has any clue the trauma that I went through, or that other trans and gender non-conforming children will continue to be exposed to due to harmful measures like the ones of Youngkin's policy against these children, who have been continuously maligned with these false scenarios constantly conjured up to attack them for being different.
I'm going to take two more. I have Darren Pittman and I think this might be Matthew Del Singvi. I can't quite make out the handwriting. I apologize. Are you Darren?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon. I think we've been here before. Well, first and foremost, I thank everybody for showing up. Everybody. Even those that are in opposition to Governor Youngkin's policy. You know, we were here a few years ago, and there was a lawyer that actually represented the school board. And he actually said that the model policy was law. Remember that. I still have the video. I'm like, wow, okay, all right. The question is why haven't we adopted the policy in its entirety? I've heard a few people talking here about data. I think actually we had some data that was coming from the public, which was pretty good. There's a lot of hatred going on in the room, but nevertheless, I believe there is a lot of bullying that is taking place in the schools, and the bullying has increased. That bullying has increased since the Northam policy actually went in place. I had a mom who was en route here, couldn't come here because something happened with her child, so she had to go actually pick the child up from the school, and she had somebody else to pick it up. But anyway, this mother, she conveyed to me, she says, I'm in a school, and I have children who are looking at an individual, and they're telling the individual, hey, you're not a man. You're not a woman. And the individual is saying, oh, I am a woman. You know, I don't think any of us here is trying to cause any craziness or ruckus or anything like that. I think the issue that we have right now is just confusion. We're causing a lot of confusion with our young people. These are middle schoolers. She's telling me about middle schoolers that are going back and forth with a teacher to whether this teacher is a man or a woman. It's a lot of confusion. I think we can fix this, we can resolve this if we just adopt the model policy that's already been presented, all right, is already approved by the state. Let's just do the right thing and adopt a policy. Thank you for your time.
Are you Matthew? Is that you?
That's me, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I look forward to hearing your last name.
DeGrave.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Hold, please. So my name is Matthew DeGrave. I am a father of students in the Newport News City Public Schools. I'm obviously a resident of Newport News as well. The Youngkin policies would be fine in a perfect world if we can ensure that all students that were reported back to their parents would get the help that they need, the counseling that they deserve, without being bullied by other students in the school, which, to the gentleman over here who was just talking, the middle schoolers are jerks. I have one. It's just what it is. it would be fine. Everybody would be okay. We'd be helping these students along. We wouldn't have the problems that we have with suicide, with these kids feeling like they're on the outside, being rejected by everybody, by society. But that's not the real world that we live in. The world that we live in is a world where some of the people in this audience would probably beat their kids, like somebody who spoke earlier, if they came out and they said that they were transgendered or LGBTQIA or a member of that community. As a Newport News resident, I'm asking you not to adopt these new policies. Keep Governor Youngkin's policies in place as they are. And I specifically point out as a Newport News resident, because I've noticed that a lot of people here are not Newport News residents. They are coming from other churches, from other areas, who shouldn't necessarily have a say in this proceeding. There are families here, I'm sure, on this side who have kids in the Newport News City Public Schools. But we really need to focus on what's going on here and protect our kids. And in this case, I honestly think that that is rejecting these new policies, keeping Governor Youngkin's policies in places, and moving forward as they are. I'd also like to just real quick say that the parent organization that's supporting the Protect the Kids Foundation looks a lot like a religious hate group. All of their whole website is dedicated to ensuring that they pass their religious policies, which, again, somebody mentioned earlier, is not okay because not everybody believes what they believe. Please do the right thing, keep the current policies in place, and thank you for your time.
Okay, board members, I am requesting if we can go an additional 15 minutes, and then we'll get on with a little bit more of our agenda and then get back to public comment. So do I have a motion to extend for 15 minutes?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to extend proceedings for another 15 minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon. 4. Best. 4. Searles Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. The next three individuals, Nate Peterson, Jonathan Waldron, and Russell Evenson. Nate Peterson?
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. I don't honestly have anything prepared. I'm just here as a parent, as a father. A loving parent and father. I believe as a parent and father who has nurtured my children to the point to where they could enter a Newport News public school deserves a voice in their lives. Opposite of what this gentleman just said, I don't beat my children. I wouldn't approve if they were LGBTQ. However, I would not beat them because of it. I am a parent that would in fact seek counseling. One of my children are already in counseling. Why is it that I, as a parent, a loving father, should have to suffer because of the potential of some other parents? Every single day of my children's lives, they have seen me. When they leave Newport News Public Schools, they will see me. As a parent, I will be preparing for marriage, for therapy, for surgery, whatever the case may be. It won't be Newport News Public School. They're only here for a period of time. At the end of the day, everything that I love and that I care about is wrapped up in my children. I hate it for these people that have suffered at the hand of other people or bad parenting or whatever the case may be. But that's not my children's situation. My children do not deserve to suffer because of other people's parents. I'm in my children's lives every day doing what I have to do for my children. I care about my children. And that's who I'm here for, representing today. If they need to speak to me, they can. If they don't feel like they can, I will offer them opportunities to speak to someone else, and they know that. Legally, that has nothing to do with Newport News Public Schools, and that's respectfully. I appreciate all educators. I'm here because of educators. I matriculated through the public school system as well. I suffered bullying as well. I'm not LGBTQ, but I also suffered bullying. Everybody is vulnerable at some point during their matriculation through public schools. Everybody. That's just not specific to them. Just this last week, I'm sure you guys know about the situation at Woodside High School, to where a child threatened to shoot up the school. The word that he used was the N-word, not LGBTQ.
Thank you.
So he was not shooting up the school for them. It was race. So please forgive me. Yeah, I'm passionate about my children. But again, I need my voice in my children's lives because it's been here and it will be after they leave Newport News.
Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you.
Jonathan Waldron. Jonathan Waldron.
If you're here to support the adoption of the Youngkin administration policies, would you stand for a minute? Thank you. So, I'm Jonathan. I'm a Newport News resident, and I would like to read from you some of the hateful bigotry that we find in Governor Youngkin's policies. All students have the right to attend school in an environment free from discrimination, harassment, and bullying. Schools shall respect all students. Parents have the right to make decisions with respect to their children. Schools shall respect parents' values and beliefs. The 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution recognizes that parents have a fundamental right to direct the upbringing and the education of their children. The U.S. Supreme Court has also repeatedly explained this. Virginia law also recognizes this fundamental right as well. Schools shall defer to parents to make the best decisions with respect to their children. Schools shall keep parents informed about their children's well-being. Schools shall serve the needs of all students. Schools shall partner with parents. That's some of the hateful bigotry that we find in his policies. But this is not about hate. It's not about bigotry. The wording of the Northam policies were potentially harmful to students, and they excluded parents. But when a child is not doing well in school, we call the parents. When a child gets sick, we call the parents. When a child gets hurt or bullied, we call the parents. But when a child is struggling with what the opposition to this new policy would consider to be one of the most significant decisions of a child's or adult's life and social development, the Northam policy is written in such a way that excludes parents and exacerbates an already extremely difficult situation to navigate. I noticed that a lot of the members tonight had shirts on that said "Side with Love." And I would state that there's no greater love than that of a father and mother for their child. I pray that every student in our system would experience this, and that we would move to adopt these new model policies in their entirety, which empower our teachers to partner with our parents for the good of our students. Stand with parents, side with love.
Russell Evenson.
Pastor Russell Evenson, been here before a few times. Thank you for the opportunity to address y'all tonight. And thank you for your continued work to try to find a resolution to this very difficult situation that we have. I've heard tonight, and wasn't prepared really to speak on it, but I've heard tonight several comments about separation between church and state. And if you go back and you honestly study that a little bit more in depth, Thomas Jefferson and the founders of this nation were trying to protect all of the American citizens as a new colony from a one religion being pushed on the colonists. Therefore, he was saying that entire America would have the right to freedom of choice of a religious faith that they have. It was not a separation that the government, that the church would not be mixed with the government. It's that the government would not infringe upon the citizens to push a one religion for the entire nation. That's the history, folks. We need to go back and look at the real history. So I just wanted to comment on that. And my heart as a human being, as a Christian, as a pastor, I go out to those that have expressed tonight their hurt, their offense, what's happened to them as children, or even now bullying. That is not right for anybody, as Mr. Waldron just said. That is not correct. You know, I'm not trying to oversimplify it, and I know those that may not believe in the Bible, but it says that we're to love each other as we love ourselves. And when you have that proper self-love and respect for yourself, you will love other people. And I think it's probably time that schools in the education system got back to some of that real basic stuff instead of fighting about pronouns and all of the other things that we're fighting and disagreeing about. Let's go back to the basics and teach our kids and our young people how to get along with each other, how to love, how to respect each other. I agree. God says in His Word, God says it, He gives us a free will created after His image to choose any kind of a lifestyle we want. God gives us that. He doesn't violate that. He doesn't force His will upon us. Neither is the Christian faith trying to violate our will on another set of people. People are free to choose any lifestyle they want. But when it comes to boys going into girls' bathrooms, such happened in the northern part of the state, and the young girl got raped, and then the boys transferred to another school, and the same incident happens with another student. You know, those are facts, and those are things that need to be dealt with, that are realities and that are laws. I realize that could happen either way. And I want to clarify something that I've heard. This is not a one church thing. This is not our congregation. There are at least 5 to 7 pastors here tonight that are representing multiple congregations, multiple citizens in Newport News. So it's not just one, it's several of us together. Thank you again for listening to all of us. God bless.
The last 3 speakers for our time right now will be Dwayne Swanson. I believe this is Angela Harris. And Chris from Kiln Creek, wanting to discuss or share about school bus safety. No last name. Dwayne Swanson.
Good evening. My name is Dwayne Swanson. I pastor All Generations Church here in Newport News. It's my first time of being up in front of you, so excuse me for a little bit of my nervousness. I want to say, first of all, thank you for all that you do for all of us here. And I know your job is difficult at many, many different levels. Tonight, as I've listened to a lot of the stories and a lot of the situations, as I tell my congregation, I wish everybody could have grown up in the home that I did. It was a home of love. It was a home of acceptance. It was a home where we talked about a lot of different things, and I know that that isn't the situation, but I do know in my 40 years of working with children and working with youth, it's always been a priority in my ministry and in my time with people of sharing everything that I knew with my parents, because I wanted the parents to be a part of what was going on in my life. Without parents in my life, and parents probably in a lot of yours sitting right here on the council, you wouldn't be where you were today because of the council. And I feel as if it would be a major mistake not to include parents in the process of their children's lives and allowing them to speak into it and know what's going on. And for those of you that have been abused and mistreated, I want to say on behalf of myself and others, we apologize to you tonight, because we do love you, and we as a church love you. And I know the churches that are represented tonight, that anybody is welcome and will be loved and cared for. So thank you.
Angela Harris.
Oh boy. So, in 2002, our elders ran a write-in candidacy. They ran Abdul Bilal Hakima Muhammad for mayor, Bernard Robinson for school board, and Angela Harris. And that's me, 2002, write-in candidacy. And I'm not understanding why we have already October 13 children suspended from school. I'm not understanding why the children couldn't get on the bus and they were jumped by 4 adults. I'm not understanding why we have 1 resource officer. I'm not understanding why my elders wasn't invited to the Huntington High School celebration that was in the street, not even 2 blocks away from their cribs. I'm just not understanding right now. This is America. We are in Ward County. Some call it Denby. Now it's Newport News Incorporated. Nothing else but a consolidation plan where we just pushing paper. I'm happy to see Ms. Mitchell take that seat in that role, because I know what kind of work we're going to do. I'm happy to see Mr. Harris. I'm happy to see Mr. Hunter. And some of you guys I don't even know, and you know Dr. Best. I'm happy to see you here too, representing Ross Haley. We talking about roots. I met you, Ms. Law, when you were running for office. I'm happy to see you there. But we got to get some things done. It's 21 years later. Huntington is being knocked down. My elders are crying. My community is in a gentrification project. All I see is Marshall Court, Ridley, from the top of the city to the bottom. I see we got a Denby plan, a Lee Hall plan, a Southeast plan, a 3-city plan. It's not one city, a whole bunch of division, and a whole bunch of children being sacrificed, and no one is listening. And we should never have to come to a school board meeting to talk about our sexuality. That's just sinful, unlawful. It's against the civil rights, everything we stand for. I stand here, black, Negro, colored, African American. My Thomas family built that first house of prayer for all people with that gold on that building. My Harris family still operates the Smith Dairy Farm on the Colonial Parkway in Williamsburg. We're getting ready to put a statue of Lightfoot Solomon Mishaw on Jefferson Avenue, and we still can't communicate with the parents. It's a shame. I'm 51. I'm born and raised in Newport News. My name is Angela Harris. My mother is the Williams. Her mother was the Hill. Her mother was the Thomas. Her mother was the Gray. And her mother was the Brown. We should not be just a number. My ancestors are buried right across the street in that cemetery where they have moved First Baptist Morris up the road. We haven't forgot about our ancestors across the street. Come on, y'all. We got to do better. I need everyone to listen to these parents. I should never have to come here. Never. Pick the phone up, communicate with the parents, let them know that y'all work for them. Please listen to the parents. And your resource officer need help. Officer Greyhouse, I don't know where you are, but they need you. They need you. They need you.
Thank you. Chris from Kiln Creek.
Hi.
Hello.
Chris Fryman. I'm sorry, my last name's Fryman. I thought I put it down there. So just go ahead and go. Okay. All right. Happy National School Bus Safety Week. I actually planned to come here a while back just to line up this date with the school board meeting. I did not anticipate such a large crowd. I addressed this board in June of 2022 meeting, and I also addressed the City Council on February 28th of 2023. This has to do with making our buses safer on the road, but it has to do with the way that our legislate has set up laws to disenfranchise the citizens. And I'll go ahead and lay out what I have. We have school bus stop arm cameras on the side of our buses. Some of the conflictions with law, it would be 46.2-844, that's the law to put the cameras on the buses. However, 46.2-1090, that gets into the signals of the bus. And to give you an example, if a bus is going 35 miles or less than 35 miles, it only has to give 100 feet of amber light notice. If it's going more than 35, it gives us 200 feet of amber light notice. That law hasn't been changed since the 80s. Now, what happened since then? Well, 46.2-871 increased the maximum speed limit a bus could go. And then in 2020, VDOT got in line with the legislate and did 46.2-880. That shows reactionary perception and braking times of what's actually needed to come to a safe stop. Now, it might be easy to stop the cars behind the bus, but on the approach, you're probably going to get about half of that because you've got 2 points converging onto one another. But to give you an idea, if you're going 30 miles an hour, just according to 46.2-880, you're going to need 109 feet, but that bus will only give you 100 feet of amber light notice. Now, I went through a lot of the numbers here, and as of August, we've had a total of $5.76 million in this system. That's been our penalty numbers. 1.72 million of that is just the technology fees alone. The company has taken 2.46 million, and the local area has retained about 1.64 million. I rounded the numbers the best I could. So what that means is the company has taken $4.18 million of these funds, and it won't show on your budget books because it's no cost to the school board or the city. But Newport News Public Schools has about $1.64 million on this. So it's about a 72% retention for the company on this equipment. And this was under Dr. Parker, I believe, but it did not go through lowest bid procurement. It went through a co-op agreement. Okay, 1 minute left, so I'm going to go ahead here and do some school bus safety.
No, actually, that's the end of
Oh,
your
that's
time.
the end? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Would you send an email to the board for the remainder of your comments? That would be.
Well, I've tried, and I don't get responses back.
Well, you're talking to us now, and you have our attention. We would be happy to receive an email from you.
You would? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to petition the board just one more time, just for another 10 minutes, because as I look through the cards, this would allow our local individuals who live in Newport News to have a say this evening, and then we'll go on to additional business, and then we will pick back up with comments. So, board members, do I have a motion for an additional 10 minutes?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon. 4. Best. 4. Searles Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. The last three cards I have are Yodagent Yuva and Kevin Crowder and David Brackman. Okay. I'm going to go to Kevin Crowder.
Good evening, Dr. Best, board members. My name is Kevin Crowder. My oldest two children attend Woodside High School. And last week we were informed of a potential threat by the school. Unfortunately, it took a Facebook post to find out the specific nature of that threat, which should not be acceptable. Along those lines, the school did not inspire confidence in communicating their response to the threat by limiting inspections to the school building. It would have been helpful to know that the school, in conjunction with law enforcement, would search the wooded areas surrounding the campus, as well as vehicles entering the grounds. With respect to the threat itself, I believe administrators, faculty, and staff have an obligation to address bullying when it's happening, correct students' inappropriate language, and enforce an environment of acceptable behavior and respect. Due to the security measures instituted, and this is just one more topic, due to the security measures instituted this year, I understand the reason for long lines entering the school building. And I would say that it's inappropriate and unfair to the students who are already standing in line sometimes 30 to 40 minutes before the first bell rings to be charged as tardy because they're waiting to get through the security line. If there are any standards that should be enforced on a regular basis, it should be correcting students' inappropriate use of language. Some of them talk nastier than any adult. The dress code should be followed, and really enforce and correcting students when bullying behavior is being presented. Again, that takes parents, it takes faculty, and it takes everybody to encourage our children from kindergarten through 12th grade to actually learn and practice respecting one another. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Crowder, if you would, some of those concerns that you have about safety are ones that we need to get on this evening. Some of the information sounds a little different than what we were told had actually occurred. So we have our Chief of Staff, Richard Wright, who will also talk with you with our security director. Thank you for coming and talking to us. We do appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. David, I think it's Brockman, might be Brakeman. David Brakeman.
Thank you. Youngkin's 2023 model policies are flimsy, ill-conceived, and illegal. It begins with lip service to respecting kids, stopping bullying, and abiding by state and federal law, and then proceeds to throw all that away. Its First Amendment justification is facile, the right to self-expression ends where the rights of others begin. It recommends that we enact discrimination on the basis of gender identity, denying bathroom and locker access, and denying recognition of a student's name and identity so that teachers are free to disrespect and bully if they feel so moved. It asks us to be the guinea pigs and violate settled case law of Grimm versus Gloucester so that Youngkin can challenge it on our behalf. Know that you will be taken to court either way, regardless of your decision, by the fundamentalists or by the Americans for Civil Liberties Union. Attorney General Miari's non-binding guidance means that we don't have to do squat about what he wants. Accepting trans students and treating them with respect costs nothing and saves lives. The model guidance begins by saying that every effort should be made to accept and respect trans students, except by using their names under any circumstances. To a public servant who cares about doing their job, accepting trans students is all the reason one needs for costing nothing and saving lives is all the reason one needs for a policy. On the contrary, the personal interpretation of a God who wants what I want said so is not a justification for a policy. The idea that people with differently colored skin had to not be treated as equal human beings was a mainstream, sincerely held religious belief as of only our parents' or grandparents' generations. I have it on reputable spiritual authority from someone who still bears the name of a university that God is the author of segregation. So are you going to do it? Do you have to do that? Can the nanny state not compel an individual to speak and act in a way contrary to that sincerely held religious belief? Reject theocracy and reject Youngkin's model policies. Thank you.
I'll give Yodagent You have another opportunity. Otherwise, we're going to go on with further business and circle back. All right. Thank you all. We appreciate you coming and sharing your thoughts with us. We will now move on to Section 3, the consent agenda, which includes 3.01 minutes from the regular meeting, September 19, 2023, 3.02 minutes from the work session, September 19, 2023, 3.03 minutes from the closed session from September 19, 2023. 3.04 financial reports, including the revenue report for September 2023, the expense report for September 2023, and child nutrition reports for September 2023. 3.05. Okay, we'll circle back in a little bit. We're going to continue with our proceedings right now. 3.05, the personnel report. 3.06, Newport News School Board Code of Conduct. 3.07, budget transfer. At this time, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, one question in regards to 3.07 budget transfer. Looking at the agenda, don't see a budget transfer in the item. So if there could be a comment to, is that item vacated, or is there a budget transfer for us to approve?
I thought I saw one in board docs.
Yes, I'm looking in
Okay.
board docs.
I thought I saw one in there day before yesterday. Okay, let's double check. Other board members, do you recall seeing a budget transfer?
Yeah.
For,
It's on your screen.
you see it on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I saw it. Let's make sure that Mr. Brown gets that.
I'm looking at your screen. There's nothing there on your screen either.
It's on my screen.
Yes.
It's board doc.
It's under admin But if it's on board, I'll see it.
Be there. You have it.
And also maybe we could just get
thank you.
a print copy for you. I don't know. Let's make sure that Mr. Brown gets a print copy of that. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Mr. Brown, thank you for letting us know that you did not have that.
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the consent agenda? All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon. 4. Best.
4.
Searles-Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And the next item on our agenda is Section 4, some action items. On the agenda this evening is 4.01, our proposed capital improvement plan adoption. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, Mr. Donald Fairhart, our Chief Operations Officer, is here to provide an update on the capital improvement plan. Mr. Fairhart?
Good evening, Chairman Searles-Law, Vice Chairman Best, members of the board, Dr. Mitchell. I'm before you this evening to seek approval of the 2025-2029 capital improvement plan. I'd first like to start off by saying, as you recall, the proposal was originally presented to the board on September 19th, and I appreciate the feedback and the discussion during that time, and also the time that we spent together subsequent to that to discuss the priorities of the school division. If you recall, during the presentation, FY25 is very much reflective of what FY24 was, and we slid most of our projects to the left because we did not receive funding at the time of the proposal. I will say that the City Council met the 26th of September, and they approved $10,000 in capital improvement funds and $10 million and $2 million for school buses. So that's not reflected in our proposal. So in moving forward, what you'll see in the coming years, or as we build next year's CIP, is you'll see those dollars backed out. As I presented at the work session, the $10 million, we would like to utilize $7 million to replace the HVAC unit at Passage Middle School. It's in dire need of repair. And then we would like to utilize the $3 million to identify some safe and secure entries for our schools. So if you can see the totals, how they fluctuated, FY 2025 now totals $141.9 million. If you recall from the FY 24-28 CIP, the FY 24 request was for $52.4 million. So a fairly substantial increase there. FY 26 is at $84.2 million. The big item in FY 25 obviously was the Warwick High School renovation. It moved from, it was in 25 before, design in 24. Design was not accomplished, so that's the combined design and construction cost. FY 27 is now at $9.7 million. FY 28 is at $36.8 million, and FY 29 is at $54.9 million, for a 5-year total of $327.5 million. And that's an increase of roughly $87 million over last year's proposal, which was $240.4 million. I would also like to point to safety and security upgrades at $1.2 million, and that's across each of the 5 years, and that's going to allow us to ensure a safe and secure environment for our students and staff. So with that, I'll pause for questions, discussion.
Okay. Questions? Mr. Brown.
So I'll ask the question and make the comment that I appreciate the safety and security being broken out in the first year. I think that it's good transparency for both us, the public, and for City Council to be able to see that we're specifically asking the first year for that $13.2 million for safety and security upgrades that are needed to our facilities. The Warwick, we have renovation on here, and then as well we have Denby renovation. If you would speak to what is the full cost of replacement, so people can have an understanding of this is a cost to renovate, which is to keep the existing buildings going. These are not new school buildings, but what would be the cost for new school buildings?
Correct, and thank you for that opportunity, Mr. Brown. That was part of the discussion at the work session. So just as a reminder, each of the renovations, you'll see an increased cost from 2024 to 2025, because as you recall, we included an addition at Warwick High School and an addition at Denby High School to eliminate the modular units. It was about 10,000 square feet at Warwick and about 8,000 square feet at Denby High School. So the total cost that we projected for a brand new construction of Warwick High School is, we base it on $480 per square feet. So that's about, Warwick High School is about 247,000 square feet with the inclusion of the 10,000 square foot addition. So the total cost, when you include FF&E, design, site work, demolition, assuming we're going to build on the same site, we project out at about $135 million.
And Denby High School?
Denby High School, we projected, I don't know if I have that with me, it was slightly below that.
It's 130.
I think 130 million,
Yep.
because it's slightly
130.
smaller. And that also would include the additional square footage.
And if you could just expand on this renovation, what is this for, so the public has an understanding, what does this renovation do for both of those school sites?
So the renovation would be comprehensive, roof, HVAC, electrical upgrades, plumbing, interior paint, ceiling, floor, etc. We would also work closely with instruction to ensure that we modernize the facility. It's not just the same facility that we left. It would have a new facade, a safe and secure entry. We could relocate the entry point, and then we would work also closely with instruction with FF&E, because a lot of the modern instructional space is dependent upon furniture and the space that we can create within the facility. So I wouldn't want the public to think it's going to be the same building that they're leaving. I know Ms. Alger asked if there's an opportunity potentially for the board to maybe visit a recently renovated high school, so the board has a better understanding of what the potential is, and I'll certainly seek that opportunity for us.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Rebecca.
No, I just wanted to, and maybe you can confirm this, these are schools that are going to be up for roof, HVAC, some significant repairs and replacements. So if we did that without renovating, my understanding is then we'd have to, and we'd be tearing up what we just put money into. So this is acknowledging the reality of where we are.
Correct. The major systems were in previous CIPs for both Warwick High School and Denby High School. They're both over their useful life life limits as far as roof and HVAC. So we've removed them from those standalone items, and they're not included in HVAC or roof replacements. So those would be additional totals if we were unable to renovate, and those are our immediate needs. Other than Passage, Warwick, and Denby are the two HVAC systems that are in most dire need of repair. We actually had to replace the HVAC unit at the Warwick High School Media Center over the summer.
I have one.
Yes. Dr.
While
Bess.
while you are elaborating so the public will understand, can you just briefly share with the public why we are pursuing renovation as opposed to rebuilding?
Certainly, that's a decision for the board.
Right.
I think there are some logistical challenges to rebuilding, with the assumption being that we would build on site, because that would mean demolition and relocation of Warwick High School, approximately 1,500 high school students. So unless we were able to secure a separate parcel of land and basically build new there while the existing high school could still serve students, we would have to identify an opportunity to reassign approximately 1,500 students, and we would have to do that again with Denby. So renovation, if we can take a phased approach, we feel like we can complete the additions with kids in the building, and then it would be phased over summers as far as the major systems and the interior work that would be necessary to bring the schools up to the modern times.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And Madam Chair, this is one of these things where a lot of people really don't realize when it comes to construction, dealing with schools, it is not like constructing your house.
No, you're right.
In this area, Rusty, as some of us know, the area cost factors, has been going through the roof the last couple of days. So, you get punished for not executing when you should, or if we have the money. Next year it'll be more expensive. Just the mere fact of us being in this area.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. These are in today's dollars.
Yeah.
And the number I gave you for Warwick High School came from a recent bid in Stafford County. They had just had a bid opening for their high school, and theirs actually came in at $489 a square foot, and I backed a little bit out because prices tend to rise once you get on the other side of the Rappahannock.
Right.
Any other comments? Thank you for that. Mr. Fairhot, thank you so much, because at this point, this is what we're giving to the city. As our responsibility is for us to say what our needs are. I am thankful to the city, however, that they didn't stick to giving us 0 in the last CIP. That was just
Certainly
not
helps.
okay, and they saw that.
Yes.
And so I am confident that with the insight that we're going to share with them as to how we built our CIP recommendation, that we will be able to come to some consensus as to some direction for us. So thank you to you and your team for helping us through that. All right, do I have a motion to approve the proposed capital improvement plan?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed capital improvement plan as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Brown.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Brown.
Before the roll is called, I'll just explain to my colleagues why I don't feel like I can support this particular capital budget. And while I do really appreciate the work that has gone in the different iterations and different looks that we've had at this, at the same time I have to think about what I think is best for kids is a new school. And I think that this budget, our capital budget, is our way that we have, the way that we frame discussions that we're going to have with our counterparts in City Council. And I think that we should be framing our discussion from the standpoint of this is what it costs to get a new school. Of course, if we have to make compromises and move to a renovation, that should be discussions that we would have with City Council, as opposed to negotiating with ourselves by putting forward because I think part of history of how we get here is you go with this low ball, and then, well, we don't have enough money for the low ball. Well, wait, that was our lowest ball, and we end up oftentimes with nothing. We've ended up with nothing the last year. Also, just in terms of our discussion, we've talked about this multiple times. Last time I made a motion to amend. I'm not going to make a motion to amend tonight about Denby High School. Denby High School and Warwick. Denby is in no better condition than Warwick, so I don't see any reason why Denby was not included in the first year. and I know I've pounded the table about that, about Denby should be in the first year. And as a representative of the North District, I can't support something where Denby is not in the first year. So those are the reasons. Those are my reasons for not being able to support the budget tonight. But I hope that we do get the funding for this budget.
Okay. Mr. Brown, I'll just comment on the first that you said. I agree with you. We need to let City Council know our thought process through here. So when we present this to them, I think many of us have mentioned that they need to see what we're seeing. So they do need to see what it costs to build a new school. And I believe that our hope in that regard will be then they wouldn't balk at doing what needs to be done to have our students in buildings and learning well. So we'll just have to, it'll have to remain to be seen what we get. But I definitely, respect your decisions on that. All right. Any other response? Please call the roll.
Brown.
Against?
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Searles-Law.
4.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Fairhart. The next item on our agenda is 4.02. I apologize we've made these individuals wait this long. Personnel actions. May I have a motion to approve the superintendent's personnel recommendations for this evening?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the recommendations of the superintendent for Stephanie Bean, Assistant Principal of Instruction at Warwick High School, and Mary Belt Simra, Executive Director of Student Services.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon. 4. Best.
4.
Searles-Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Great. Dr. Mitchell, please introduce us to your new team.
Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Miss Stephanie Bean. Is Miss Bean here today? I'd like to welcome you. You've been with us, but congratulations on your promotion as the new Assistant Principal of Instruction at Warwick High School. And just to give our audience and our viewers at home a little bit of your background, Ms. Bean has 2 master's degrees, correct? You like school, apparently. One is in educational leadership, while the other one is in curriculum and instruction. She currently works as an assistant principal at Point Option and our Virtual Learning Academy. She also has worked for us as a virtual learning specialist here in Newport News, but comes to us with experience from other divisions. In the past, she's been an instructional innovation coach, as well as a teacher for York County, and she also was a teacher in Hampton City Schools. And so congratulations to you. And if at this time you have any family or friends or school family that are here to support you, we'd like you to acknowledge them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you and the board for the opportunity. I have the Point Option and VLA admin team here supporting me. And Dr. Mason, I'm excited to join the Raider family, so thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Maribel Simra as our new Executive Director of Student Services. She is with us tonight, and she comes to us with a Certified Educational Specialist degree as well as a master's degree in school psychology from Georgia State University. She currently works as the Director of Student Support with the Council of Chief State Officers in Washington, D.C. She has also worked as the Director and an Associate Director of Student Services for the Department of Education right here in Virginia. She has previously worked here for us as a coordinator of psychological and social work services. She has worked as a research coordinator in the University of Miami, and she also was a district school psychologist with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And I would personally like to say welcome back. And at this time, if you have any colleagues with you or family members with you that you would like to acknowledge.
Yes, I would like to start by saying thank you so much. and I am so excited to be back here in Newport News. And with me today, I have my husband, Carl Simra, whose loving support has gotten me here.
Thank you so much. I would just like to say to the board that this is a continuation of people coming back home. And we are really excited that we've had so many people that want to come back to Newport News.
Thank you. And let me say on behalf of the on behalf of the board, welcome and welcome back. Thank you. We'll move on to section 5, reports and information. We do have one report this evening. 5.01, new policies. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you so much. At this time, Ms. Tracy Brooks, who is the special assistant to the superintendent, will come to share with you the new safety-related policies. Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Great, thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Good evening, Madam Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Mitchell. It is a pleasure to share highlights from 5 new safety-related policies that we are proposing for your consideration this evening. Now, the policies were reviewed and revised by the Policy Committee, which includes board members, principals, teachers, administrators, and our school board and school division attorneys. The 5 new policies that we are proposing reinforce our commitment to maintaining a safe environment for every day for students and staff throughout the school division and for visitors to our schools and other school board properties. The first 4 policies govern how we will administratively address the possession of firearms and weapons on school board property, and the 5th policy guides school division staff in assessing behaviors that may pose a threat to the safety of students or staff. Now, this school board has long considered the safety of our students, employees, and visitors to be a high priority. So in support of that commitment, this first policy provides an overview of 3 subsequent policies that address the possession of weapons and firearms at our schools and on other school board properties. And I'll speak to each of the 3 policies in the slides that follow. But this overview policy also references state and federal laws that prohibit students from possessing weapons and firearms on school board property, at school-sponsored events, and on school buses. And the sanctions for Newport News students who violate these laws are included in the Rights and Responsibilities Handbook. Now, I just spoke about the laws prohibiting students from bringing weapons to school. So this second policy prohibits persons such as employees and visitors from possessing weapons and firearms in our school buildings, at school-sponsored events or activities, and on our school buses. This policy also prohibits students enrolled in other school divisions from bringing weapons to our schools and events. Now, this policy includes 11 exceptions. So, for example, the state code allows certain individuals to bring weapons on school property, such as current and retired law enforcement officers, Commonwealth's attorneys, or persons with a handgun permit. But persons with such a permit must have their firearm unloaded and secured in a container or compartment in a motor vehicle. So these are just a few of the 11 exceptions that are cited in the policy as well as in the state code. Now, our third policy prohibits individuals from possessing firearms in buildings or property owned or leased by the school board other than schools, such as this administration building, the Staff Support Center, and Todd Stadium. This policy applies to employees, visitors, and students from other school divisions. And like in the previous policy, the state code allows a few exceptions for individuals who may bring a weapon on school board properties, such as sworn and retired law enforcement officers and individuals with a handgun permit. And as I stated before, their firearm must be unloaded in a closed container in a vehicle. Now, signage will be installed at our schools and non-school locations to reinforce these safety-related policies. And we realize also that the appropriate school division staff will need to receive training about these new policies to ensure that they are applied properly and consistently. So next, we are proposing a policy that grants school security officers the authority to carry firearms on school division properties while performing their duties. Now, I wanted to give a little more clarification to this policy because it came about while we were researching the state code for options in providing security at our bus lots during the evenings, at non-school buildings such as the Student Success Center, formerly known as South Morrison, and at our other school board properties. So in the past, we often use off-duty or retired police officers to perform these duties, but given the challenges that police departments are having with hiring officers, we've had to look at other options as well. Now, the state code has numerous specific qualifications for security officers who carry a firearm. For example, they can be retired or resigned from a law enforcement agency in good standing, and they must have completed required training, such as active shooter response training and other courses. And there are about 10 additional requirements that appear in the state law and also are included in our policy. So in addition to hiring school security officers directly, this policy will allow our superintendent to use an agency to hire security officers who can carry a firearm primarily for covering our buildings and grounds during the evenings if the officers meet all of the state code requirements. Now, this last policy addresses threat assessment teams for our schools. The teams are required by the state code, and our school division has had them in place for several years. The school-based teams assess and intervene with students whose behavior may pose a threat to the safety of school staff, students, or themselves. Now, each school-based team does consist of individuals with expertise in counseling, instruction, school administration, and includes a resource officer. Now, initially, we aligned our policy to the training requirements that are specified in the state code, and over the years, we've enhanced our trainings, which include an initial threat assessment training for new team members developed by the Virginia Center for School and Campus Safety, and a refresher threat assessment training that team members must complete once every 3 years. Now, the procedure to implement the policy outlines steps for assessing a threat, and when appropriate, it also includes referring students to the Community Services Board or to healthcare providers for evaluation and treatment. So this concludes our review of the new safety-related policies that we are proposing for your consideration this evening. And in coming months, we will be reviewing 2 policy chapters in year 4 of our timeline, which will include the chapter on general school administration and the chapter on students. So in terms of our next steps, the new policies will come before the school board for action at your November 14th meeting. And once approved, the new policies and procedures will be posted on our school division websites and disseminated to schools and public libraries. So this concludes my report this evening, but joining me amongst the audience Mr. Lynn Wallen, our attorney who took the lead in crafting several of the policies for your review, Mr. Mark Stewart, our executive director for crisis planning, prevention, and environmental resource manager, who worked with us to ensure that we would provide the necessary training for our staff, and Dr. Jerron Ransom, the program administrator for student conduct and discipline. So we will be happy to answer your questions and to note your suggestions. So thank you.
Well, I'm just going to start by saying thank you to you and your team for preparing these policies for our review. Then I'm going to turn it right back onto our board, and I need to say thank you to you all. Yes. Because you guys asked the hard questions. You all gave us the answers. Some of us needed to look at the state code requirements. Appreciate you doing that, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Logistics for disseminating information. I know Ms. Amon was concerned about that. And then bringing awareness for loopholes in the series of the policies. I know there were several of us, including Dr. Best, who that was a focus for us. So this was definitely a team effort. So with that, you guys can ask additional questions, either for your clarity or for the betterment or edification for the public. Going twice, we're good. All right.
Well,
Thank you
very
so much for the thorough report.
Well, thank you very much. And as you said, for all of your comments and questions, it really helped us to get to this point, so we appreciate it very much.
Okay. Thank you. We will continue in this section on reports. 5.02, attendance report. 5.03, the membership report. 5.04, the construction report. Board members, you have received a copy of this report. Are there any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5.05, comments by the superintendent. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to begin my comments by sharing that we are in the process of finalizing the draft treatment of transgender students procedures, which mostly at this time consist of editing and technical adjustments. But before the procedures are implemented, we must work to ensure that they can be executed with accuracy and fidelity. Among our expectations is that our staff should receive information about the procedures first, and that a FAQ document is prepared and revised as necessary. Special thanks to all of the parents, employees, and community and business leaders who served on our family engagement, school safety, and student rights and responsibilities advisory committees. These committees were launched last spring and were intentionally designed to offer a broad range of community input. There was a lot of interest in these advisory committees. If you recall, we had well over 500 community members interested. The school board and I are committed to keeping the public informed. So beginning with the school board meeting in November, we will provide an update to the community on each advisory committee's input and recommendations. Everyone in here and at home is invited to the Marching Band Expo tomorrow, October the 18th. It begins at 6:30 right here at Todd Stadium. The event is free and it is open to everyone, and will feature our musicians from each high school band, accompanied by 8th grade band students from each of our middle schools. Newport News Vice Mayor Curtis Bethany will serve as a guest conductor. Not sure if he knows how to conduct. I believe our students are teaching him, so hopefully we can turn out here to support him. So please join us tomorrow evening. As mentioned earlier, October is STAND Month in Newport News Public Schools, and STAND is a student-led initiative which challenges students to work together to create and maintain positive school cultures and to discourage harassing behaviors among peers. On October the 5th, STAND Night was held at Todd Stadium. Hundreds of students signed an anti-bullying pledge before participating in the annual Bullying Prevention Walk during halftime of the football game. The board members and I enjoyed participating in this event. And on Saturday, September the 30th, hundreds of students participated in the Flying Classroom STEM learning experience at Atlantic Aviation at the airport. Our students met founder and pilot Captain Irving, toured an aircraft hangar, and participated in hands-on STEM activities and design challenges at this year's event. As mentioned earlier, this is National School Bus Safety Week, and the governor has proclaimed tomorrow School Bus Transportation Employee Appreciation Day. I often say being a bus driver is the hardest job in the school division. So we would want to acknowledge and thank the professional, dedicated staff of our transportation department for ensuring that our students arrive to and from school safely. So we do salute our bus drivers, our assistants. Oftentimes people forget we have mechanics, trainers, dispatch staff, and office staff. So we want to thank them for their service. And this month is National Principals Appreciation Month. So on behalf of Newport News Public Schools, I want to thank our principals and our assistant principals for their commitment to our students and staff. As a former principal myself, I know firsthand how challenging yet rewarding this job can be. So special thanks to all of our principals. October is Disability History and Awareness Month, a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions and history of people with disabilities and increase our public awareness and the rights of the people with disabilities. And finally, I would like to remind all students will be happy, all students and families, that schools will be closed for students on Friday, October the 20th, and Tuesday, November the 7th. So this concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We will now move on to item 6, another opportunity to hear from the public. I still have a hefty stack of cards here. Do we have any additional? Okay. Yodajent Uva? There she is. Sorry we missed you before.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I'm Yodajent Uva. I'm a resident of Newport News. I'm coming here to speak on a situation at Sedgefield Elementary School. So on the 3rd of October, there was a fight on the school bus. On the 4th of October, 4 adults came to the bus stop to attack elementary school student along with 2 siblings that attended Huntington Middle School who tried to stop the attack on their 9-year-old sibling. So it was a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old. On the 10th, a teacher, this child, Seance, this teacher to this point never asked this child, "Are you okay? How you doing? How you feeling after the attack?" Instead, she takes things from the child. And then she tells the child that she's not supposed to have him in school. The child writes on a paper while she was upset, a threat. A threat assessment was done. The child is out of school until October 26th. The school never showed real support in a lot of these situations, including a resource officer opinion of my attending the city council meeting to speak on the situation to the higher ups. I like to follow Michelle Obama quote, "When they go low, you go high." So Ms. Jones is not held accountable, but Seance is punished waiting for process and procedures, and now our family, to me, are being offered services. I'm a neutral mother. When children right, they right. When they wrong, they wrong. This morning I was expecting a call from Ms. Willard, but I got a call from Ms. Fitz, who used neutral facts from myself to form an opinion, very unacceptable. I shared that my children were away from me for a period of time, and I had to fight to get them back into my care. She insensitively formed an opinion to call me, coerce me not to move forward on physical unwanted touching by Miss Jones, battering or harassing Seance, to say, well, you didn't have them with you, so maybe the child's scared to be honest about the school bus fight. That doesn't change the fact that the child was attacked by adults. Teachers showed no compassion and still painting school rules to her law until Seance is back in school. Newport News School Board is agreeing to provoking, improper bending school rules to minors and holding children accountable. Ms. Jones has done things to Seance, such as bending down in Seance's face where Seance could smell her breath and Seance turned her head away and Ms. Jones turned her face back. Telling Seance to look at her. Other times she set the child away from her peers and have the children chant false rules that are not in the Rights and Responsibility Handbook, still not contacting parents or staff of behavior issues where together we as a team could have worked together. Ms. Jones has done what Ms. Jones has done has to be taken into account. Ms. Jones' reason for taking Seance belongers away was improper. For a child with emotional disabilities, she formed emotions that she doesn't know how to process. You're being done wrong. Ms. Jones is to be honest with her children on real school rules. For a 9-year-old to be attacked by 2 children, 4 adults going to the school bus stop, for a fight that happened the day before. Do I still got time or I'm done?
Actually, you are done. But,
Okay.
Miss Willis is actually here. My understanding is she did try to reach out to you. So
Miss Willard didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't expecting a call from Miss Fitz.
Okay.
I missed the call. If it was from Miss Willard under Miss Linda's voice, I missed that. But I wasn't expecting a call from Miss Fitz.
And she's here, so why don't you take a moment and spend a little time catching up on the issue, since she's here and you're here this evening.
Well, we already talked about Seance being back in school. I want Seance back in school. Seance shouldn't be held accountable for a teacher provoking her.
Okay. All right. Well, we will have to follow up with you outside of here.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the next three. I have Joanne Dingus, Shannon Adams, and Michelle Foster.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Dingus, and I am the Director of Religious Education at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Newport News. I have had the privilege of working with children and youth for 23 years. And in that time, I have watched hundreds of children wonder and learn and grow. For many of the children, I have been with them from the time they were dedicated as babies to the time they completed their bridging ceremony into adulthood. We teach our children and youth that they are unique and unrepeatable. We encourage them to show up as their whole selves to each gathering because they matter. A few years ago, one of my youths was transitioning. I had not had a lot of experience with youth in transition, but I did have a lot of experience in supporting youth and caring for them and being an adult they could trust. And you know what? I found that was all the experience I needed. I remember chaperoning on a camping trip. We all walked over to the restrooms before lights out for the night. This one youth stood outside for a moment staring at the doors, women's, men's. And I believe for the first time in a public setting, they chose the restroom that best fit their identity. I felt so honored to witness their courage and to share in their joy when I saw the smile on their face. They had taken one more step along the path of transitioning. Recently, I noticed a step taken by another youth when, for the first time that I saw, they signed their new name on the poster we made for the food drive event at Patrick Henry Mall. I've also had some youth share their wish to use different pronouns. And sometimes I mess up, and I must apologize for using a past pronoun. And because they know how much I care about them, they politely correct me, and we move on. I believe all of you work for the school board because you believe in education, and you believe we must support all our children and youth so that they may thrive and live meaningful lives and contribute to society. Please support them now by giving them the right to use the name, pronoun, and bathroom that best fits their identity, and let them share information about their identity when they are ready with the trusted adults they choose. Thank you for your time.
Shannon Adams.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Mitchell. I'm a 21-year veteran Newport News educator, a mother to a young adult who belongs to the LGBTQ plus community, and a longtime ally of the LGBTQ plus community. I'm here to speak in support of keeping the protections that our district passed 2 years ago and has in place for our LGBTQ plus students, especially our students who identify as trans, as this group is once again being attacked and stigmatized. I've been fortunate enough to work under numerous principals who have been supportive of our trans and LGBTQ plus students. This is one of the many reasons that I have continued to work in Newport News Public Schools. However, I believe that removing the protections that we currently have in place would go against everything our district has stood for. Removing these protections would put these already vulnerable students at a greater risk for bullying, discrimination, violence, or worse. Suicide is already the second leading cause of death among young people aged 10 to 24, yet LGBTQ plus youth are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide as their peers. It is vital that our school district continues to protect all of our students and continues to keep the current protections in place for our LGBTQ plus students at this time when they need it the most. According to the CDC, when schools implement LGBTQ plus supported policies, all students experience less emotional distress, violence and harassment, and suicidal behaviors. When students feel connected to a supportive school community, they do better socially, emotionally, and academically. I urge you, as an educator, mother, and ally, to keep our district's current protections in place for our students. Often our classrooms are their only safe place. Acts 10:28 says, God has shown me that I should not call anyone impure or unclean. So please do not let some of the people that have spoken tonight allow Youngkin's policies to have us, the teachers and the school board, do the same. Thank you.
Michelle Foster.
Good evening. Can I just ask real quick, where's the light that I'm looking for? Right there? Okay, sweet. Good evening. My name is Michelle Foster. I'm here as a member of the queer community, as a proud and out trans woman, and I'm here to support the existing policy that protects trans students in the district and in districts all over the state of Virginia. I guess my focus tonight is going to be about queer perseverance, because throughout history, queer people have continued to exist. From all the way in Sumer to Greece to Rome, Southeast Asia, Native Americans. Queer people have been present in history, and we've been parts of society that entire time. Queerness exists in spite of all of the cishet folks that we grow up with. I can pretty much count on one hand the number of queer friends of mine that are the product of a queer relationship. It's not very common. Which should tell us that queerness is something that's going to persist. With that said, school is one of the only safe places for queer people when they're young. It can be a place of a lot of bullying, but in a lot of cases where home life is not supportive or parents are not supportive, school can be a sanctuary. A trusted instructor or faculty member or counselor can be someone that they can go to and have safety and have solace. I think adopting Governor Youngkin's policies would absolutely take that away from students and give them no place to go, effectively. I've heard a lot of other statistics tonight, some about suicide, some about Governor Youngkin's anti-education policy and anti-education position specifically. But I'm here as evidence that queerness persists, even if you try to remove it from the equation, if you try to take it out of public life. We still exist. We still keep cropping up. We come back again and again and again because as queer people, we're going to persevere. It's a fact of life. It's a part of biology even. So in conclusion, I would like to encourage you to please reject Governor Youngkin's guidelines regarding trans students. It's in the best interest of all of the students in the schools. Thank you.
Okay, our next three are Logan Laurent, Veronica Williams, and Ron Lee.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Logan Laurent, and I am a transgender woman and small business owner who's lived in Hampton Roads my entire life. I wish we didn't have to have these difficult public conversations, but I understand that it's necessary as we are learning and growing together as a community. And I'm confident this respected body can and will make the right decision in regards to these model policies. It's a scary time to be transgender in America, with rhetoric against us becoming increasingly more and more volatile. And I'm sure it's an even scarier time for children and adolescents who may be LGBTQIA+. I know from experience it can be very scary to come out as trans to your parents, and it can be much easier to come out to your friends, teachers, and counselors before you decide it's safe to come out to your family at home. Governor Youngkin's policies take away that option. When I was a trans teenager going to high school in Hampton Roads in the 90s, I was fortunate to have parents who loved and accepted me, but all of us are not so lucky, and the results can be disastrous. Governor Youngkin's policies, if implemented, do not protect every kid. They are irrationally exclusionary and unnecessarily harmful to transgender and intersex children. They leave no room for nuance and no room for science. Forcing a trans child to be outed to their parents so that they are allowed to be called their chosen name and pronouns is absolutely dangerous and can and will lead directly to child abuse, inhumane conversion therapy practices, child homelessness, or worse, if their parents aren't accepting. Let's decide to let kids keep the freedom to be themselves at school without fear of these terrible things. I am not a sports expert, and I don't have all the answers when it comes to letting trans kids play sports along with classmates that share their gender. That is for sports medicine professionals and sports regulatory bodies to decide, not Governor Glenn Youngkin. Banning trans kids from sports is exclusionary and leaves no room to discuss the nuance of this topic or develop fair standards for moving forward, and in my opinion, represent government overreach. The governor's model policies are dangerous and cruel, and they failed to pass democratically in our state's legislature. There is no rational reason for them to be implemented in our state's public school systems. Thank you.
Veronica Williams.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Veronica Williams, and I'm here to respectfully ask that the school board take action promptly in line with the 2023 Virginia Department of Education statewide model policies to make it clear that schools in this district cannot refer children to counseling for matters related to gender identity without first obtaining parental consent. This is important because children are actively undergoing gender reassignment surgery in our nation. Upon information and belief in the Commonwealth of Virginia, before a child is referred for hormone blockers, cross-sex hormones, and/or gender reassignment surgery, the child must first be referred to a licensed mental health care professional for an assessment of gender dysphoria. This is concerning in light of the fact that licensed mental health care professionals in Virginia, according to a 2020 state statute, no longer have the ability to exercise independent professional judgment when it comes to counseling children who are expressing that they are experiencing confusion about their gender identity. Specifically, under Virginia law, a licensed mental health care professional is at risk of losing his or her license and livelihood for unprofessional conduct if he or she counsels a child with gender dysphoria to even consider embracing his or her gender of birth. This means that when a child is referred to counseling, whether inside the school system or outside of the school system, the child is not being referred to a licensed professional who is free to exercise independent professional judgment. To the contrary, the child is being referred to a professional who is operating under the risk and threat of losing his or her license and livelihood if he or she even suggests that the child consider embracing his or her gender of birth. We do not want to see a precious and extremely impressionable child who currently self-identifies as transgender make a decision to undergo very serious and irreversible gender transition surgery while still a minor that they may later regret as a result of pressures that are being brought to bear on their young hearts and minds from different directions and from adults in positions of authority who are, from a practical perspective, having their hands tied by statute. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the Newport News School Board to promptly take action to require parental consent before children are referred to counseling about their gender identity. I care about this because I was born and raised here, went to public school in this district, have clients, family, and friends with children who are in this district. Thank you for your attention.
Ron Lee? Hi.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron Lee, and I've watched the last few school board meetings with great disappointment. I realized the only people in opposition to transgender policies are based in theology instead of evidence-based data to try to sway the school board's policies. So I didn't bring any evidence either, only an opportunity for us to reflect. These following three statements are from an article written in 1954. There is certainly no ground for the charge that racial segregation is displeasing to God, unjust to man, or inherently wrong. It would appear that there is no reason for concluding that segregation is in conflict with the spirit and the teachings of Christ and the apostles, and is therefore unchristian. The Congress of the United States, in the face of tremendous pressure from political agitators and minority pressure groups, has refused to abolish segregation in these public schools. Did the Christians supporting slavery and segregation really know God's will? Is it really what God told them during silent prayer, or did they weaponize religion to stigmatize minority groups? Why does God only want you to share your opinions of oppression when there's a current political agenda? Why is God so often on the losing side when it comes to stigmatizing others, as she did in slavery, segregation, and women's rights? God doesn't lose, does she? As the oppressors stand up here, ask yourself, are these even real Christians? Or are they the ones who have coffee bars at their church? Do they pray to Mary? Do they speak in tongues? Do they allow women to preach? Do they think you are saved simply by acknowledging Jesus died for your sins? Or do you have to repent, be baptized, or go to confession? Are they like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly where everyone can see them? As we know, that will be their only reward. Those that evoke God's will are creating a God in their own image. That's blasphemy. But it's also how we got the Catholic Church, the First Baptist Church, the Second Baptist Church, and 45,000 other Christian denominations, all who are following God's will. We have secular schools for this very reason. Some Christians believe transgender individuals are made in God's image. We must respect their beliefs or respect no religious beliefs at all. Remember, Tanisha Price warned you about not limiting transgender rights and claimed school shootings happen in Newport News because God got mad at your failure to act. Well, my God spoke to me this morning, and he told me if you don't support LGBT rights, that everyone's parents in this room will be gay, whether on earth or in heaven. Be warned, my God declared it. School board, please stand on the right side of history, because as history has taught us, the moral arc swings towards justice, and one day transgender rights will be protected. Don't let the federal government mandate it.
The next three are Sarah Crisati, Jennifer Herget, and Sharon Hicks.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Mitchell. I don't envy you guys this job at all. It is, I'm hearing both sides, and I want to speak to the lady who unfortunately has left. that we wear these because we want to protect all children everywhere. Even though I am not living in this city I am a product of this system and this school board, and I was born and raised in Newport News, and I love this city. I think that there needs to be a lot more support for teachers and for you guys and for our people that work in the system, because the job is not easy. I've been there, I know. It is not an easy job, and the older these children get, if they're not guided in the right direction, you have trouble, and it's very, very, very sad. I do ask that you, in your vote and in your discussions, that you move quickly to resolve this situation. I am in favor, of course, of Governor Youngkin's revision into his this issue, this transgender issue. All families are to be respected, and all families are to be loved, and these children are to be loved. We love them all, whether they're mine or not, or yours or not. We have to love our children. If we show them love and they learn this love, they can show love, and it might change a lot of the bullying. Bullying is wrong, and it should never happen. I don't care who you are. If I saw it, I'd step in. And it's just something that should not be done. Our children are our future. They are the ones who are going to be leading this country. They need to be educated, and they need to be taught what's right. They need to learn the basics, just like they shoved it down me when I was in school. But our children are just so special that it's a gift from God, our children, and we need to respect them, but we need to guide them in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Jennifer Herget.
Madam Chair, as my wife, she's asked if I could speak in her place, and she'll speak in my turn as it comes over, both registered. Is that acceptable?
Your name is, okay.
Robert.
Okay, you were at the very end because you didn't have your city on, so.
Okay. My wife and I, we
Okay, if you have a plan, you can go ahead and go first.
appreciate it. Different angle to the conversations tonight than other conversations. The cornerstone of our nation's Constitution is the individual's God-given right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It appears to have been lost that the Pledge of Allegiance is a pledge by you, the citizen, to support, protect, and defend the citizen to your left, right, front, and behind you for these God-given rights. In these days, Marxist ideologies are permeating a me, myself, and my group mentality, dividing our nation, and remove the individual's pledge of responsibility to the community, and now appears to require the community to conform to the individual or group and forego others' own right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The following was penned in 1965 by Paul Harvey. If I was a devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness. I'd have a third of its real estate, 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I would begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what is bad is good and what is good is square. To the old, I would teach them to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors on how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies, vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction, and I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with each other, churches at war with themselves, nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild, and before you know it, you'll have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors in every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'll have prisons overflowing. I'll have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, the schoolhouse, and the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbols of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what do you bet? I could get whole states to promote gambling as a way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, and moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that you see what you see on TV is the way it should be. And I only got 2 lines left, but thank you. I think you got the picture. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Jennifer Herget.
I want to say first that my heart goes out to any child that does not have a parent that loves them unconditionally, no matter what. And also to anyone, including myself, that had a pastor or a church that they were at that Jesus was not present. Fortunately, I have one, and Jesus is present all the time. My husband read to you If I Were the Devil from 1965 by Paul Harvey. It's like he saw what was happening while we were asleep at the wheel, living life carefree. And here we are today. Sometimes it does seem that the whole world is engulfed in darkness. Many have listened to the serpent whisper, "Do as you please." The devil has whispered to our young, "The Bible is a myth." And many have been convinced that man created God instead of the other way around. I saw this in my children when they were going to school, especially in middle and high school, and the floodgates were open in college. We are all surrounded by lurid literature and dirtier movies. Narcotics, alcohol, and pills are plenty just there for our children's asking. Families, churches, and nations are at war with themselves. Schools and parents have neglected to discipline emotions and let them run wild, and now we do have metal detectors at schools. The prisons are overflowing. God has been evicted from the courthouse, the schoolhouse, and the House of Congress. Morals and values have left the stage. My last speech that I said here, I told you that I would be blessed if my child came home from school because her teacher was talking about God and she wanted to get baptized. But that is not where we are today. And everything, all of the morals and values that are taught is what we learned in kindergarten. I don't know if you remember that. We may not be able to control and stop all of the evil in the world, but we can protect the children in our community. You are all in a position to make a decision. You're all in a position to protect our children. They are all God's children. Instead of asking yourself, if I were the devil, ask yourself, what would Jesus do?
Okay, I'm going to petition the board for just another 15 minutes. We have 5 speaker cards remaining.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon. 4. Best. 4. Searles-Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. I believe Sharon Hicks, Reverend Michael Burnett, and Bill Haynes.
Good evening. You have a tough job. I'm here to appeal to you tonight in reference to the policy that Governor Youngkin has placed. This is my story. At the age of 10, my parents divorced, but never did I ever feel that I was not loved. At one point, my stepmother asked me, I could give you everything that your mother can't. And I thought about it, and she actually could. She could give me a better home, more clothes, all the things that would make a teenager happy. Although tempting, I said no. My mother gave me life. Can you top that? And there was a holy hush. As you can see, I too know what it feels like to be different. I have a birthmark that my parents told me it was a gift of God. To other members of society, it was a mark, but to them, it was a gift. If it had not been for my parents supporting me, I too would have felt like an outsider. The education system taught me the ABCs of education. My parents taught me the ABCs of life. We often ask ourselves a question in church, where were you? And I like to ask the school board that from a parent's perspective. Where were you when they cried their first tear? Where were you when they had their first bruise on their knee? Where were you with my first encounter with a trans person? I tried to embrace her because she was different. Instead, I was beat up. When I approached my school teacher and told her, she paddled both of us, but at the same time, she told us we were both good people. I knew everything through my parents. When fads faded, my parents were there. When the word and the world shunned me, my parents applauded me. Educators have their place, but it is not to replace, hide, coerce children against their parents. You are the bridge that unites both of them. Parents are not perfect, they are people. You have them a few hours, the children, the parents have them from a lifetime. Unfortunately, parenthood does not come with a book. You learn as you go. We agree and disagree about being homophobic, homosexual, homo sapiens. How about that we argue that we're human beings?
Thank you.
Living in this habitat called Earth. This is my story, and this was not sponsored. Thank you.
Reverend Burnett, my board only gave me 15 more minutes, and I do know we need to get you all home. So please adhere to our time.
Thank you much, Madam Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, esteemed members of the board. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm also grateful for the work that this board did 2 years ago with the model policy suggested by then Governor Northam. And although he's absent now, I will quote Mr. Hunter's words by saying that work was to vote yes to protect all students from any discrimination. I'm here for the sake of students' rights, for children's rights. And it's a tricky subject because it's a little bit of in tension with parents' rights. I'm a former child. I'm a former student of a public school system. I was exceedingly grateful for teachers who challenged me. If my parents had their way, God bless them, I love my parents, but if my parents had had their way, I would have learned a truncated curriculum. I was raised in Poquoson in the 1990s by parents who grew up in Poquoson in the 1970s, raised by parents who grew up in Poquoson in the 1950s. I'm not trying to paint with too broad a brush, but you might get an idea of the things that I would have learned and not learned had I not been challenged by my educators. As a parent now of 2 children who are of preschool age, but getting there, I recognize that my parenthood is not my right. My parenthood is a privilege. And if I should ever create an environment in my home where my children feel unsafe to come to me, I have violated the covenant of parenthood. And that's on me to repent of, and to rectify. As a pastor, working with college students at Christopher Newport University and also at a couple of local churches here, with dozens of Newport News students and families, I have been unable not to see the divine image in every person that has come to me. Cisgender, transgender, non-binary, heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, etc. To de-theologize my language, I understand that every person, regardless of any descriptor, including age, is a human being with certain human rights. Among them, a right to a certain amount of dignity and privacy. A lot of folks have said it, let me say it again. I don't envy the position you're in, because you stand in the tension between parents' rights and students' rights. But I hope as you deliberate, as you best discern how to implement or not implement these policies, you do so with a full view of the full humanity of our students, because they are indeed human beings. They are not their parents' possessions. Thank you.
I have Bill Hayes, and then after that, Danielle Cousins, and then Natasha Elliott. So Bill Haynes, are you still with us? Danielle Cousins.
Good evening. Thank you for staying overtime. I just want to say that I used to live in Newport News for 5 years. I'm here on behalf of my friends whose children do go to Newport News School District. I've had my kids homeschooled. I've had them in public school. I've been married 20 years this year to a black man. We have interracial, beautiful children. And I just wanted to say that my heart goes out to people that were abused. I was sexually molested as a child. I had extreme fear and anxiety. I had severe dyslexia, so I was bullied all through school. So I understand where they're coming from. I had health issues because of it. And I just want to say that there's freedom. The only freedom that I found, true freedom, true healing, true deliverance, was in Jesus Christ. And it was in the church, and it's through His Spirit. And I want to say that God is in the schools because every believer carries the Holy Spirit in the schools with him. And taking their rights away for their morals and beliefs to have to call someone by a name, God said, I made them male and female, I made them. And there's a difference between being looked down upon for the color of your skin versus you being a man or a woman. And I just want to say, I pray for healing and deliverance for the people that have been hurt and rejected, but parents have a right, okay? If a child goes into a school and shoots people, and it was the parent's gun, the parent's going to go to prison for that because they're responsible for their children. And it's the exact same thing as we're responsible for our education. Youngkin and his predecessor are not in right now. Not Youngkin, but, Youngkin is in because the man that was running against him said very loudly that he didn't think parents had rights. Virginians' parents want to have a say in their children's education. They want to know if their children are having thoughts of being a different gender so they can get them help, so they can choose. I personally took my child to a neurologist under, what is that? The governor that was just in. And my daughter had headaches, and they asked her if she wanted to stop having her period right there in front of me, not knowing, not respecting me as a parent, asking my daughter, which she doesn't even know what that means, by putting her on hormones and stopping her cycle. So they don't care. And if you guys remember and look, Governor Youngkin does not care about our children. He passed laws that people could have babies, have healthy, beautiful babies, and go talk about if they want to murder them or not. He does not care about children. So I really, it's a law that Governor Youngkin passed. It was the law that was before. And I do understand bullying. I don't think it should happen. I think there should be counseling for these children and their parents. But parents should know if their children changes their name. One of my daughter's friends, the librarian, changed her name in the system, and her parents had no idea. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Thank you for your time.
Natasha Elliott.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Natisha Elliott. I have lived in Newport News since 1988. I went to the high school here. I've went to college in Hampton Roads. I raised my daughter in the Newport News school system, and I witnessed some of the changes that happened with the children and expressing themselves. And my daughter was able to freely come to me and talk to me about it, even though she was not going through it, but it was something that, that was shared from another student. I'm here to support Governor Youngkin's revised policy about transgender issues. My concern as a parent is that we should know from creation and Adam and Eve, parents have always been here. And they should just not be included what's going on with their own children that God's given them to steward. We are here to steward our parents, steward our children, whether we like it or not. Not everyone do it the best way, the best. Some can be the worst. I pray for them all. I pray for God's wisdom, healing hand over the hurting children and parents that are hurt themselves. But we can't neglect the fact that our voices as parents should be heard. We should know of any concern, any bullying, anything malicious going on with our child, or if they're concerned about their identity. It is their identity as a human being. We should know so we can partner with the school system, partner with the parents, partner with our own children to say, how can we help you? How can we make you a better you? I am a believer in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I believe that God created us. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. I respect all human beings, but please respect parents also. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, do I have any additional cards? Right, thank you very much. The last comment and the last voice we will hear this evening will be from our student representative. This is what we're here for.
Hi, oops. The student advisory group on education, students have been selected for this school year, and I will be meeting with
Yeah, pull your mic down just a little.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. The student advisory group on education students have been selected for this school year, and I will be meeting with Dr. Mitchell and Ms. Brooks to plan the agenda for the first meeting, which will be on October 25th. We are looking forward to this exciting school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Meeting adjourned.
Straight to the point. You're doing a great job,
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Man, it's a 2 birthdays.
Pass it down.
Pass it down.
This is the code of conduct.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man. You guys